Hi again. I'm today going to attack this large yew log, couple of feet long, about 8 inches in diameter in old money, and try and do a hollow form using the Simon Hope deep hollowing system. So first off, get it to round and then sort out how I'm going to set up the jig. The key thing I wanted to do is preserve some of the undulating surface of the yew, which might end up with some hollows into it, or it might just end up with some texture. I just don't want to lose completely that wonderful undulating outer shape. I'm going to put a tenon on both ends suitable for the deep gripper chuck jaws, because I'm going to need to grip it at some point on both ends. The big spindle gouge comes in for some good use on the big work, and you've got those nice flat sides so you can get a really good planing cut like a skew off it, giving you a lovely smooth surface that only you can really give you. Well, that's the bottom area pretty well shaped. Now going to try and shape the top end and see if I can expose some of those voids. I now want to get a nice smooth even flow to the finish despite the undulations, so I've got out the big can opener, skew, and just about managing to get a smooth peeling cut off the surface all the way down, just to give it a nice profile. And that managed to get a really silky smooth finish down the length, and now I've got some nice recesses in the finish that should produce some nice voids when it's hollowed out. But before I can do any hollowing, I've got to address the cracks, so cellulose sanding sealer on it to avoid any staining, and then lots of super glue and coffee grounds to hold it together. So with that all relatively stable, I'm now going to part off the neck at this junction point so that I can do the hollowing through what might be a sacrificial surface, just in case it gets knackered, as it often can do. And that recess, that U shape there, also should allow me to get my centre steady in there. As you can now see, which is the next stage of the process, is to get the Forstner down there and take out a core ready to put the hollowing rig in. Using a small tungsten carbide tipped Forstner to the maximum depth I can get it, and then a bigger Forstner 2 inches before swapping back to the smaller one with an extension arm to go down the sort of 15 or 18 inches all the way down to the bottom. And I've had to put the bed extension on, which is the first time I've used it in anger, at the same level as the bedway, in order to be able to get the extension arm in, and also to be able to make it easier for the hollowing rig. It took a bit of fiddling because it didn't mate up very well, so I had to chock it up and also grind out a bit of the bedway inside, as the casting was a bit rough, to get it all to slide easily in and out. So once I was down to the bottom, I set up the Simon Hope deep hollowing rig. I've got the curved robust tool rest there, which is allowing me to get the tool rest as close as possible to the face of the steady rest frame. So you can see the laser shining on the surface, which has been set up so that you know where the cutting tip is, and I've got the straight barred Hope hollower with the cutting tool angled about 45 degrees, the carbide. And from there it's just a question of taking it slow and methodical, hollowing it out from the neck first, and then going down to just widen it out a step at a time as usual. You have to be a bit careful as the arm goes in deeper and deeper, because the whole thing starts to kick about. So that's just about being steady and methodical. It's a pretty simple process. You just have to hold on and be steady and consistent with it. The exciting bit is when I'm starting to hit air with the cutting tip, which is causing it to jog around. In fact, you can actually see the ghost appearing now of the tool rest through the top of the wood, which is where the voids are being created. So that's the bit that's going to get interesting. Getting in to do the undercut under the shoulder is also quite tricky, because it bounces about a bit, as that's where the voids are starting to form. Oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to be in there with the rotary tool, carving that out in due course, I think. You can probably see just there I was using the round high-speed steel cutter on the end of the arm to blend in the inside and make that as smooth as possible before starting to attack the outside and getting a nice uniform shape using the rotary tools. I'm using the Ryobi battery powered 18 volt rotary tool, which comes already with the flexi shaft with it, which is very convenient for this sort of thing because there's no mains cable trailing around, and that works really well. And then after forming the shape of the recess using the Sabre carbide cutters, lots of sanding needed to get it as smooth as possible. Because the hollow form is so deep, I couldn't actually get in there to sand the inside properly, so I made up a DIY rig with a stick and the rotary tool shaft, which I gaffer taped to it so I could get the flat wheel in there, and that was quite effective actually. It allowed me to get rid of some of the edges that I couldn't get rid of using the traditional rotary sanding tool or by hand. Sure, I'd necessarily recommend it as the safest activity, but nothing went wrong, so yes, it was effective anyway. All I can say is it took a lot of sanding with all the tools that I had to try and get that inside as smooth as possible. I then worked out another wheeze. I got a pair of long 12-inch long like surgical clamps, which I could clamp some paper to, some abrasive, and I could then get that into the hole and get that into places that I just couldn't get to any other way. You'll see at this point that I've remounted the cut-off neck, glued it on, and that's held in place with the tailstock drive as I'm laboriously smoothing this out on the inside again. And then a good soak with cellular sanding sealer inside and outside, and then a good coat of wax. It's time to part it off, and then just power sand off the bottom and job done.